All right, guys. So, welcome back for another training session. Again, we're going to do a couple of reviews here so that you have a better idea of how to handle yourself on the call and how to handle certain situations when you're on a call. So, this is basically the outline of what we're going to be doing today. Um, and a lot of this is pretty self-explanatory, but sometimes I think maybe we forget to use it in the middle of a call, and sometimes we forget that it's that the option is available, right? So the first thing that I want to give is the how to use the Google Mail and the Google Maps. I think that everybody here at some point has done it, but we usually have a kind of a CRM that is based on um, that we can use information for. So we sometimes send like circular emails around, and for example, this is one of the ones that I sent recently. It's very helpful, and these are things that I do on a consistent basis during a call. So somebody will ask me, "Hey, do you know what is the shipping dimensions for an LE10 or an SA10?" And if you just go up here to the search bar, in the
I
first,
am not able, I'm sorry, I'm not able to see the. Are you showing something?
oh, I actually, my apologies. Oh,
Sorry.
I forgot to share my screen.
You need to open. George
No,
is
no,
trying to
yeah,
log
yeah,
in.
no, okay, okay, okay. So I'll
Georgie,
cut that part out. I'll cut that
I
part
was
out.
like, okay,
I'm
where?
in. Hi guys, I'm in.
Hello,
Sorry for
Hey,
George.
the
George. I'll
sorry to
start from
being
the
late.
beginning. No big deal.
My
Okay, I
apologies.
had to start over anyway. I was just practicing until George got here. Okay, this was exactly what I would planned.
Okie
Sorry about
dokie.
that. Yeah, I was George. I actually started without you, but I forgot to share the screen. So, oops.
Oh no. Oh, that made it better.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. Fire.
So, sorry about that, guys. Welcome back again for the little training session that we're going to have. And again, basically, a lot of this is just going to be reviews, but it's things that I feel that sometimes we forget to use or we forget that it's available. So, one of the first things that I want to cover is kind of like the search bar up here with the Google Drive, with the Google emails. The Google emails works a lot like a CRM, right? So if you come up here and you search up certain keywords, then you'll be able to find a lot of information based on that. Now, I tend to send a lot of emails with this kind of information or just the back order and such. So sometimes, for example, this is one that I sent the other day, the LE10 and the SA10. And one of the first things that come up is the LA10, SA10 shipping dimensions. So I know that this information is going to be here, and I can very easily come in here and get the customer the information that I have. It's easier for me to be able to share this information with you and the customer if when you're writing an email, you place the heading kind of with something that you will remember. In my case, LE10 and SA10 shipping dimensions, all I have to do is just search it up here in the search bar, and then in the middle of a call, be able to help the customer out with that information. I'll give another example, maybe something that I've sent before, and I've had people come up to me and ask me again, hey, what kind of concrete do you need? So if I type in here concrete specs, one of the first things that comes up is the concrete specs for different lifts. And then here, I can either send this to the customer or I can inform a person or a customer instead of having to call the manufacturer and wait online for a couple of minutes and ultimately lose the opportunity to receive a phone call or, in that matter, get the customer the information right there on the spot, making you more effective. So as you can see, like the concrete specs, Sometimes you'll forget. I don't recognize them. I don't remember them, word for word. But if you just come up here very quickly, you'll remember that the concrete specs on that or other keywords that you might be looking for will pop up. Okay, so that's one of the ways that I like to use the email search bar, so that in the future when you're there, you're able to find the information quicker for the customer. I'm also going to touch on Google Maps. I know that with certain manufacturers, especially manufacturers such as Benpack and Titan, they tend to be a little bit tricky when it comes to shipping. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go over a couple of addresses so that you have maybe a better understanding of how to look at the maps. Obviously, I'm sure you know how to look up the address, but whenever we place an order and we're setting up a quote, we should always be prepared to look at the Google Maps, even while we're placing the order. So, for example, this is a very obvious example of what is a residential address. I can tell by the black and white that basically this one is surrounded by little squares, and that's going to give me a residential address. And if I click here on the satellite imagery and I look at the picture a little bit clearer, then it's going to be very obvious that it's surrounded by
Houses.
houses. I mean, it has swimming pools. It's very difficult for a customer to deny that, hey, this is a commercial area. Okay. What you're going to find in a call a lot of times is that, for example, somewhere over here in the corner, it's La Tienda de Doña Mari, right? And they're going to say, oh, it's a business. But you have to look at the overall area and then say, okay, sir, you may be in a business, but your area is residential. So it's a good idea to always check the maps. This way you don't take the customer's word for it. The next option,
And
yes,
Edwin, could you please go back to that address? I wanted to show you something.
sure. This one,
Yeah, the residential one.
okay.
Just type it on Google again.
Um,
Yeah, just go back. Go back. I wanted to show you something that I learned
sure.
to know if the address is residential or not. When you go to Google, when you go to Google, like the by Google search, I'm sorry, you will find the word silo.
Should I go back one more?
Just go to Google search in this case
Let me start a new one.
and type the address exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. When you see those silo, 90% of the time will be residential.
Okay. Right here where it says
Mhm.
ZILLOW.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good
Yes,
information. I
sir.
wasn't aware of that. Zillow is a sign that you're looking at a residential area. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
The next address that I wanted to show you is a commercial address. So then we'll be looking at this one. This one is in Chino, California. Um, so we're going to look at a area like this. Now, again, looking by the the black and white map with blue and yellow, whatever. There's a couple of squares that you'll be able to see. Those are the outlines of the buildings. You can also tell like the main roads. So with that being said, this is very much and appears to be very much a commercial area. So that commercial area isn't going to acquire any additional fees. Again,
Mm.
you could more or less kind of hover over. Or what you can also do is if you grab this little guy and you go to the main road, they'll let you jump into, well, okay, now it's not going to work for me. There we go. So if you take that little guy, it'll jump you into the main road. And this is also helpful. For example, if you are looking to make sure that the place is the place that you're delivering to. So this one, it says like a RV and the customer saying that, oh yeah, I got to ship it to an RV place. Then you can pretty much tell exactly what the location is. And look here, King Realty Group. You can also see like that. So I mean, like I said, a lot of this is pretty obvious, but we're going to have some new people in the future, so I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, given the same information. Now we have the rural address. Rural and residential can be very similar. um, a lot of times what a customer will say is that, yes, I'm a business, but what ends up happening is that they're a business within a rural area, in other words, a country area. So you're going to have an address that's going to look something similar to this. With this address, you can't really tell much from the map unless you go into the uh, the satellite imagery, and then you're going to be able to see that, well, yeah, if this is the location for right here, for example, it looks like a business, right? But if you look at the surrounding areas, it's going to be houses. So again, it's in this point, it's going to be better for you to call and ask if, hey, is this residential or is this commercial? Because it could turn back on you, and especially with Titan, they charge $120 for the residential charge, and that can pretty much blow your sale. That can be the difference between the customer continuing or you getting yourself into problems, or even losing money on the order, which has happened many times, and I'm sure Stephanie can actually vouch on me for that.
Yes.
It's very frustrating to try to keep track of everything, so that's why I wanted to make sure I went over it. So that's a rural area. Now we have what's called a rat zone. Rats are mostly for rural areas, just like this one, but the difference is that they are outside of a normal shipping route. So, for example, this 26 Fraser Lane, and I'll put it here, shows up in this area. Now, I have two different Fraser lanes for a particular reason. Um, I've had situations in the past where an address may not come up on Google Maps. So there's MapQuest that also works as a location finder, which is more accurate, but it does not have the same graphics that um, this one has. So if this one is in 24 Fraser Lane in the same address, but this one is actually in 26 Fraser Lane and it's a little bit more accurate. This was something that was taught to me by Lindsay at Tuxedo one time, that I could not find the address, and therefore she advised me to use MapQuest. It is a little bit more accurate in the future if you can't find the address on Google. But anyway, again, going into the rats area, if you look at this address in an overall field, it's in the middle of nowhere. Okay, this is a place where if you're dealing with Benpack, they're going to charge you 5% of the order to come out here, because there's nothing around here. There's nothing but country roads, and it's very rural. It's out in the middle of rivers, and they're just not an easy access point. Now, there is a way to waive the RATS fee for Benpack, and the way to do that is that if it's located within a certain distance of a city or a main road, then they'll consider waiving the RATS fee, and then they'll just charge you the residential. But you got to look at the maps very carefully and say, okay, it's worth my time giving the call to find out if I can get the RATS fee waived or not. Otherwise, we just we use up too many favors, and well, we should save those.
In that case, Edwin, sorry to interrupt you.
Hmm.
In that case, I need to look if there's a highway near the
Right.
house.
There should be within a certain feet. Now we're not talking. I think it's like 500 feet to the main road,
Okay.
and that is the way that we can usually waive a RATS fee if it's within 200, 300, 500 meters to a main road. I also like to use this RATS calculator whenever I'm doing a shipping with Tuxedo or with Titan, and it just kind of gives me a better idea when I'm doing the shipping quote as to what kind of area it is. So it's always a good tool to have around. Okay,
The RATS calculator of Venpack.
right. I'm sure everybody knows what it is. I like to keep it saved right around here somewhere. There it is. And your RATS calculator looks like this. And it's very simple. All you do is just type in the zip code. So let's say, for example, I'll take this zip code right here, 89147. I'll click right here, check, and here, record not found. That's fantastic. Oh, I know why. I left a space. Well, there you go. If you have a space, it won't work. You got to have it exactly to the space that you were looking at. You click on that. Direct shipping point, no RATS fees applies. Okay. And finally, you have the questionable addresses, which would look something like this. Very similar to the rural addresses, the residential addresses. Now, as you can see, it has businesses, a very big business here, has a very big business here, but you got these little houses here in the corner. There's a house right here, there's 4 houses. So sometimes you get addresses like this that even though it appears to be commercial, it turns out to be residential. And other times, because I can tell you from experience that I've seen addresses very similar to this, and they tell you, no, that's commercial, don't worry about it. Make sure you get the rep's name who told you that, put it in your notes, and then this way you either charge or you don't charge the residential address. Okay?
Alrighty.
So guys, how we doing with that? Is that clear as far as using Google as a CRM and using Google Maps and even MapQuest as a reference?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
I have a
Thank you for
question.
the quest. I forgot about it.
Okay. I'm sorry, who's there? Somebody was
I
asking a
have
question?
Yeah, I have a question to, I don't know, to have it right in the point because I have so much information with like free shipping is covered, is not covered, and everything. Um, Rats of Benpack, okay, the Benpacks have free shipping label, so that free shipping only covers the commercial. That's it, you know, and that the client has must have a way to unload. So the free shipping is only for commercial. For residential, there's going to be an extra charge on the van pack, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And also in Challenger, free shipping, commercial and residential, both. When there's a label that says free shipping, Challenger covers everything, covers commercial and residential.
That's right.
What about the rats on Challenger? Is that
No,
okay?
RATS
No,
only applies
the
to
van pack.
the pen
Venpack.
pack. Okay.
Okay.
And I would use RATS also maybe just as a reference, not as a tool, but
Hmm.
as a reference with Titan. Titan is another company that gives us a lot of restrictions on our shipping.
Oh yeah.
Now, to
Okay.
clear up a little bit about Challenger, um, I'm sure that everybody here has had an experience with Challenger at one point or another. They can get pretty frustrating with their shipping things from time to time, but it's very it's a very economical way of shipping because they don't charge us any RATS fees. They don't charge us any residential fees. A lot of the times, they won't charge us things like limited access fees.
The
So,
handling fees.
right. So, most of the time with Challenger, as long what they say is that as long as the truck can fit into on the road where they're going, they don't have a problem delivering there. Okay.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
also because they use a lot of flatbed service. Flatbed service is basically when they get a pickup truck with a very long trailer and they'll ship it to the location. Another thing I'd like to add about Challenger is that if you ever find yourself in a situation where the customer does not have a forklift and he's in a residential area and you don't have a freight terminal, try to ask about the crane service.
Hmm.
Crane service goes for $150. I usually charge 175. And then this way, if it's available in their area, they can offer it to you. And then this way, you don't have to go crazy with the customer trying to figure out how you're going to unload the equipment. Okay,
Okay. And one last question:
sure.
the rats charge cost for, I believe, rats is a farm is considered a rats as well because it's in the middle of nowhere. Or
Well, I'm going to let Stephanie handle that, but
so I get a
just to
couple of
answer,
farms,
right, just to answer your question, I mean, farm is considered more a limited
res-
access fee
limited access.
than it
Okay.
is a rats fee. But chances are, if it's a farm, you're probably going to get both. You're absolutely right. The question
Mm-hmm.
is, at that point, you will have to talk to a rep over at Penpack and say, okay, so how are we
Mm-hmm.
going to handle this? Is this going to be a limited access? Is this
Mm-hmm.
going to be a rats? Is this going to be a residential?
Okay.
Et cetera, et cetera. At
Okay.
that point, it gets out of your hands and you will have to reach out for help.
Okay. We
And
cover Benpack,
sorry,
Challenger, and Titan, and Tuxedo is different because of cubics, and they have another setup with their carriers, correct?
That
Or
is correct. Cubics, for the most part, it's pretty economical. But as you can see here, we are going to cover that part. So just bear with me a little bit,
thank you,
George, and then we'll
thank you.
probably answer
All
some
right. Oh
questions on
yes,
that.
I'm sorry.
I
Okay.
remember one time I had a CX unload at a CVS near his house.
You had a what, sir? I'm sorry, you kind of broke out there for me.
What?
I had a client unload the item at CVS near his house.
Oh,
Like
really?
meet, yeah, yeah.
That's funny. Okay, that's how
Interesting.
about that?
Thank you,
He met
Um,
Ed.
he met the shipper there. I guess that way it could be commercial, and they just did it there in the parking lot.
sure. I mean, shipping can be pretty tricky. Sometimes they get really strict. Other times they're pretty lenient. So yes, you're absolutely right. And I'm sure everybody has a story about shipping, which is why it's important to kind of be on the same page with everybody. Um, does
and I
anybody have
wanted
any
to
other
add
questions?
something
Sure.
to the shipping part with Challenger. I mean to the crane service. So that everyone knows that in case you require that service and that you need it, you must put it as an item as if you were charging for an additional tool on the order, because if they do not see a charge for that, it's very possible that they won't add the service and then we'll have a problem there. Actually, it happened once this year, I think.
Good to know.
Um,
Oh,
yes, so
okay.
just create a new item, put crane service and the cost, whichever it is, okay?
Thank you, Laura. That is actually very. I mean, I actually learned on that one.
Crane
The
I
service.
the crane service cost comes from only Challenger, like that. I
Yes, Challenger, as far as I know, is the
okay.
only company that
Got it.
offers
Thank you.
crane service as of this moment.
Hmm.
Doesn't Titan offer it too?
I'm not familiar with it. I may have to talk to the guys at Titan to confirm that.
I
Okay.
had a crane service before, but I don't remember which one it was.
Okay. We'll confirm that. We can confirm that with Titan. I'll see what they say. Um. So again, shipping in a nutshell. I'm sure Dan will eventually have plenty of problems when it comes to this, and especially with Don Juan. Don Juan is very, very specific about his shipping. So it's a good idea to, if you're ever going to find yourself in a situation where you're shipping an item, especially freight, then definitely have everything in order because you may become a headache. Okay. Moving on.
Truly.
I'm sorry.
No, no, truly, I agree with that.
Okay. So moving on, we're gonna have navigating tuxedo tools. Tuxedo, fortunately, is one of the companies that we work with that gives us a lot of information to be able to sell their lifts. So it's important to know that they exist, know that they're available, and know how to use them. Okay. So first, we're going to start off with the Tuxedo Warehouse Guidelines, and basically have that. Okay, there it is. basically have that right here. As you can tell, I have about 30 pages open. Well, part because I have some extra pages open for you guys, but this is one of the pages that I keep open all the time. I have this one that tells me about where the addresses are, what the time frames are. So here we have the name of, for example, in California, the California Tuxedo Satellite Warehouse actual name is Quality Tools and Equipment. Contact person would be Bernie Ruiz. The address is 42660 Rio Nedo, Temecula, California, 92590. The telephone number in case you need them. And this is some additional information that is going to have to do with shipping or uh, pickup. So, for example, here, we're going to know that it only ships on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 11 and 3, right? So let's say, for example, you tell a customer, oh, yeah, we'll get that and it'll ship out on Monday. And then, well, Monday, it doesn't ship. So you may find yourself in a position where you're giving the customer wrong information, and therefore it can delay the shipping time in Tuxedo, and that can become a problem for you in the future. Um, Tuxedo must have orders 12 p.m. Central Standard Time on the previous day in order for pickup. So it requires at least a 24-hour pickup. Each warehouse has all that information and then plus some. So it's important that when you're offering pickups or if you're offering shipping information from any of these, then it's always a good idea to come back in here and check. Another reason why it's a good idea to know about this is also because, let me see if I could do that. There it is. Also because when you're doing a cubics, and again, I think everybody has come across this, but when cubics opens up, you're going to notice that one of the first things that you need to do is pick the satellite warehouse. And I think Zoom makes this extra slow. Sorry, guys.
And those extra tabs.
And the extra tabs. And I'll make my point eventually, I promise.
But Cubics is generally slow.
Yes. So here, okay, there's my point. So for example, the first one, you can tell very clearly that it says California. The second one says Georgia. And the third one says HMC Industries, Marshalltown. I don't know. I don't always remember where Marshalltown is. So with that being said, I'll have to jump in here and figure out which one of these is in Marshalltown. And oh, there it is. It's in Iowa. So if I look at this one, now I know that this one right here is shipping from Iowa, and we make sure that we're shipping from the correct location. So that's one way to use this. And you have obviously all the ones. This usually comes updated in your satellite inventory, so I tend to download it. I save it up here with a bookmark, and I keep it under work tools for whenever I need to easy access it. Okay. Next one that I'm going to pull up is the satellite inventory. Go. There it is. So this is the satellite inventory for the Tuxedo warehouses. This tab, California. This tab, Montana, Utah, Iowa, Michigan, Indiana, New Hampshire, Delaware, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and this final one, it says refurb, but in reality it's Texas. Why is this one blank? Because all the equipment usually ships from Texas anyway. All the equipment is in stock in Texas. It's the main warehouse. This is the actual Texas Tuxedo warehouse, the original. All the other ones are nothing more than satellite warehouses. They're companies that are just working with Tuxedo to make some extra money. So they're not really considered Tuxedo. So If we look at the first line, TP9KF Tux, you might recognize that as the JMC 9KF Tux. We have the advantage of being able to relabel. If it has a date, that means that it's an expected time. If it has an orange space, that means it is not available at that warehouse. And then obviously Iowa 11, Michigan 8, India 6, India 16, and et cetera, et cetera. These dates aren't exact. They can change just like any back order. So it can change by the week, they can change by the month. It's very difficult to say. But let's say, for example, you get a section here that is completely, oh, okay, not that one. Let's go with this one. It's completely blacked out. There's no numbers or any dates or anything. That means that that lift is only available in Texas. Okay. And if you look here at the Texas section and you see one, so you're looking at a TP15KCX, and they have a refurbished model in Texas. So you can sell that as a used lift. But one thing that I usually like to do is that if I'm going to sell it, I let the customer know that I first have to double check to make sure it's still available and that the customer has to move quickly because that can change at any moment. Okay. So does anybody have any questions about this one?
I do. Sorry. And when you point at the dates where it says, for example, August 29th, August 8th, then you see July 25th in the other state. Right next to it, you see a 4. What is that? 4 a date also, or that means that 4 are available in that location?
Okay, let's say that, for example, we're looking at the TP11. I think you were referring to that one. August
That one,
8th.
exactly.
That means in this tab over here for California to TP11 will be available at this location on August 8th. Montana doesn't have any available. Utah will be available on July 25th, and Iowa has 4 available.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
Another piece of advice that I'd like to offer is that, for example, if you have here TP12 KCD, as you can see this section here, there's 1 in California, there's 2 in Michigan, and there's 2 in Indiana. Sometimes you're going to have to call and double check to make sure they're available, because when you're talking about 1 or 2 or 3 lifts, they can disappear at any time. And if you promise the customer that the lift is there and maybe a week later he decides to buy, you have to let him know, hey, there's only a limited amount, or the amount can change at any time depending on the quantity. So it's always a good idea when you're doing quotes, let them know, hey, the quote is good for 2 weeks or the quote is good for a month. Okay? Any questions on this? Anybody?
I'm good.
No,
I'm good.
all clear.
Awesome. Oh, I actually
Oh,
jumped. Yeah.
I was trying to unmute myself and I was talking. Sorry, Ed. Yes. The situation with the satellite addresses. Can you turn to the satellite sheet of the warehouses?
Here we are.
Yes. So we have all the address, and Tuxedo's telling us like not to give out the address. Some says a schedule appointment. For example, Florida says call to schedule appointment. Isn't Tuxedo um, calling the client to schedule the appointment pickup at these satellite warehouses?
Yes, that is true.
Okay, that's for all of them. So I'm only giving out on the invoice just the city and state and the warehouse. That's all I'm giving out on the invoice.
Okay. Yes, that is absolutely what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
I tend to bend the rules a little bit, but because I have a conversation with the customer and it sounds kind of like this, I say, hey, customer, I'm going to put the address on the invoice, which they almost never see it anyway, because they just forget to look. I don't, for some reason. And I tell them, listen, do me a favor. Do not go over there trying to get in, because they won't let you in. They won't attend you. They're not open to the public. You have to get a release form before you can go. They say, oh, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. Okay. So that'll save me a step. And at the same time, I let the customer know, like, hey, make sure that you do this, otherwise you may not have this. And I really never had a problem with it. Again, this is something that I do as a shortcut when in any job you have shortcut tips. This is exactly what it's all about. This is why we're doing this kind of training, tips and pointers. So that's something that I like to do. Uh,
Yeah.
you can try it, see how it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, then don't do it. Um, I've done it in the past. It seems to work for me. So I try to, I try to be careful with who I do it also. If I get a customer that is being kind of difficult, then I will follow the rules with him because I have a feeling like he's going to traicionar me. You know what I mean?
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
going back, tuxedo warehouse guidelines, using the same tip that I gave you guys the last time regarding tips, regarding the Google email search. This tuxedo warehouse guidelines is an email that I've sent to the majority of you. So tuxedo warehouse guidelines, and it'll take me to an email that will tell you exactly how the tuxedo guideline works. They'll give you everything will be here. So if you're in the middle of a call with a customer, then type in tuxedo warehouse guidelines or any keyword that will remind you to look in your email for that. And then this way, it'll give you a full list and explanation of how it is to handle that kind of call. Okay? So you have it there available. I'm pretty sure if you don't have it, send me a private message. I'll send it to you. Okay?
Fantastic.
I always have the tuxedo about page open at all times. Helps me out.
Yes, we're actually going to look at something like that in a little bit. So now let's look into Cubics very quickly. I'm just going to go through it very quickly just to kind of give you an idea. For those of you who hasn't seen it before, maybe just to clear up some doubts, you choose the location where you're going to get the shipping from. Now, once you do this, you can just go over here and type in the zip code. I forgot the zip code to New York. Okay, there we are.
11106. Yeah.
Okay, 12170 came out to Stillwater, New York. It'll automatically refill automatically fill in the spaces, and then in the company name and the company address, you really only have to put NA. You don't have to put the actual address. Okay. Then what I do is I come over here and I click on this add item detail. I click on how many packages over here where it says the field is required, and I'll add one. Okay. And then I'll start to type in the code. Now the code usually pops up for me, and I'll look at all of the TP9KF tux, for example, and it'll automatically fill in the spaces, right? You obviously know that you have a tuxedo inventory sheet, which I forgot to pull up, I'm sorry, but it tells you all the dimensions. So if I remember this one, it's kind of like 113, 41, 24, okay? It's important to keep an eye on this one, the length, because after you fill in that space, you're going to have to come up here to where it says add special services. And you're going to take the 113 and divide it by 12, and it's going to give you 9.4. That means that this delivery is considered an over length, and it goes to 10 feet. It's always, even if this says 9.00001, go to 10, okay? So this way, we know exactly what it is, and then they offer residential, notify before call, delivery appointment, and they even have limited access depending on whether it's a church, farm, military base, etc., etc. Okay? Even it has the lift gate, and then you click OK. If you're going to ship multiple units at the time, you do not take this one here and convert it to two. That's a no-no. This stays as one, and then what you would need to do is come over here to where the plus sign is, add more handling units, and then you get a second row. And even if you have 6 lifts, you're going to have 6 rows. Okay? Just to give you an idea why this says one, let's say, for example, you have a shipment that has multiple boxes or multiple things on a pallet, and then they'll tell you, okay, it's 4 boxes. But we don't really worry about that. So it's not recommended to try to figure out how many boxes it is. Just make it as one package and you're good to go. Okay?
Ed, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Yes. On my first experience with Cubics on February or March, I came across with the motorcycle lift, and this is one item that we sell like hot pockets. So the thing is, on our website, there's the side extensions, motorcycle lift with side extension and vise, and I'm thinking there was one item and that's it. Can you follow up one motorcycle lift on ultimate units?
Sure.
Like
So let's say, for example, here,
we have a motorcycle lift
we're going
with
to
the
do
side
the
extensions and
1,
vise.
and we're going to do the M1000C, right? And then like I said, I don't remember the dimensions very well, but let's say it looks something like this, 76, 54, 12. This motorcycle lift right here is just going to be for one, right? It's only going to be for one unit. Now, if you want to get a second unit, then for example, we're going to go here 1, and then we're going to add the M side extensions. And then if you're looking at an M1000C with all the extensions, then you're going to make a separate line for each individual spot. Okay?
Got it.
All right, perfect. Any other questions about cubics? Oh, wait, actually, let me go
Yes, I
ahead.
do have
Oh,
a question.
go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. It's absolutely necessary to fill out the measurements.
Is it absolutely necessary? I don't know. I
I
prefer to
stopped
do it.
doing it. I stopped doing it, and then I have no complaints or issues because I remember that Stephanie had gotten a word from Lindsay saying that we don't have to do it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I tried one on the same quote with the measurements and without the measurements. It gave me the same price. So
Well, that just
I
saves them
don't
5 minutes.
do it either. It's like
Well,
I
I
don't know.
think it would be important to do it, at least know what the length is, because remember, if you have an overlength and you don't put the dimensions on there or you don't have it in mind, you might forget to put it on the overlength.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
I
no, no.
do that. I always check the length. For me, like since I already kind of like have like familiar with sort of items, I already know
Okay.
which one is over length. But that's just me. But like obviously for a newcomer, it's always important to
And
look at the length.
Yeah,
this is
me
great
too.
information, because this is exactly what I want to happen. I want everybody to be able to share how it works better for them, so that everybody has a good way of doing something. So,
Yeah.
you know,
But I wanted to bring something up real quick, Ed, regarding that. I guess this would probably be internally with Tuxedo, but I'm sure there's a way. I mean, I'm always thinking kind of like automating things.
sure,
So like, obviously those dimensions are already, they don't change, right? Those units, those dimensions are the same,
for the
right?
most
Unless
part.
for the most part, right? So they can have it a way where it just populates right away. You don't have to worry about it. They should have a way to do that, but maybe that may be a conversation with
Well,
Tuxedo.
I mean, yeah, with them, they gave us the right to be able to use this system, Cubics, but we have very little access. I mean, we only have very basic access to what we're supposed to do on this. So for that
It's
reason,
good
maybe
enough
in the
for us to
future.
quote people, right? I'm just saying, like, it's good info enough for us to
Oh yeah,
quote. But I'm just saying, like, if that dimension piece, if that can be automated, like, we don't have to worry about it. Obviously, what Roger said and whatever, like, we don't have to do it anyway. But
hmm
like, if they could actually do where it shows up, and just that way, we have assurance that okay, we're at least covered with the dimensions. Kind of like when the address pops up, when you put the zip code in, everything else pops up. Like, there should be a way where those dimensions pop up automatically.
that's perfect. That's perfect. Hopefully, we can work that out in the future.
Can I
Um,
point something out that you're on
yes.
that page for? I mean, this never happened to me, but I almost got confused like a couple times, and always think to myself, "Hey, damn, somebody else could probably get confused."
Yep.
When you do the quote and then you get the quote number, just be um be sure to take in mind that if you click XPO, it changes to another code. If you click Estes, it changes to another code.
Oh, good to know. How about look at that? I didn't know that.
So just putting, yeah, because I
Ooh,
noticed that and I
groovy
almost got
time.
confused sometime, and I was like, whoa, almost caught myself there.
No, I've probably done
Yeah,
it a
yeah,
couple
it
of times.
changes. Yes,
Yeah.
whenever you click on whatever shipping company you choose,
And that's
change.
really important because if you get the wrong code, then you're gonna have to do it all over again.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's good information. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Roger, for your tip. I learned something again. So basically, this is the page where it gives you the quote. Once you look at the tuxedo guidelines for the, you'll know which one gets the $50 fee, et cetera, et cetera. So I like to save the quote number. It's important to save the quote number, the company that's shipping, the amount, and don't forget to also write where it's coming from. Okay. And then this way, so I would write Cubics number this from, I think this one was from Texas with Saya for $673.63. With Tuxedo, we typically charge about 20 to 30% on an increase, but this one is a little high. So let's say, for example, we could only add about 60, 70 bucks, maybe $100 so that we don't lose the customer. Because if we do 30 bucks off of 673, it's going to be pretty high.
Can I also add something
Yes.
quick, Ed? One instance that I've been having some issues sometimes with cubics that I don't get a quote number. And once I don't get the quote number, I just follow up with the record
And
created
no,
number
I
on
know,
top.
I know that issue. That issue, it's
Yeah.
not an issue. It's that when that happens, it's because usually the first one it's a bad one, and like I said, you have to click it to the other one for it to change. That's where it gets confused.
So, but I did it
When
like
that
three
happens,
times. I did it 3 times, and I never got the quote number on that quote.
Okay,
It's
George. I
weird.
mean, it's probably a
Okay.
technical problem, but for the
All
most
right.
part,
Okay.
if it works correctly, this is the way that it would work. Okay. Now, I just want to take one step back to let you guys know you can edit the shipment. So, for example, if I take this shipment right here and then I decide, oh, you know what? By the way, I wasn't residential and I don't need a liftgate service and it's not limited access. I'll just go, oh, by the way, you should delivery appointment and notify before call. They don't charge us for this. So it's always a good idea to click both. If they do charge us, only like $10. It's very cheap. And you can go ahead and requote, but the only thing that you cannot do is you cannot change the warehouse where it's coming from. If you want to change the warehouse, you're going to
You
have
have
to
to
start
do,
over.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's,
I've been
you
there.
know,
Oh,
yeah, like you
everybody's
have to
been there.
go all over again.
Yeah, you want to, but you're like, oh, please work, but it's not going to work.
No, I don't know
And
why.
yeah, well, I've tried to ask also, and nobody has been able to come up with an answer for me. So it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, and you're gonna notice that I changed residential lift gate. I took off limited access, and I'm sure that it's gonna come back, and it's gonna be a whole lot cheaper. So that way we can just get well 619 compared to 670 was it the last one? Keep in mind
673.
673. So it's at least $60 cheaper. So we're covered there. Please remember, guys, that currently Tuxedo is asking us not to use ABF, even though it pops up. So just try to keep that in mind so that we don't offer ABF to the customer. With
And
So they must
also
have,
Tuxedo,
XPO.
so they must have messed
XPO.
up big time with them, huh?
XPO.
Okay.
ABF and
we're not
XPO.
using XPO.
Uh,
We do, we are, but just keep in mind that they're having some issues and delays. You
right,
can,
right.
yeah,
XPO is horrible.
but
Don't use it.
still, like I haven't
That use it
heard
twice.
that they said not to use it yet. Actually, Ashley gave me a couple quotes with XPO. So
You're right. I think they did say that it just takes a little bit longer for now.
For pickups,
You
yeah.
were just in
Mhm.
the Texas warehouse.
Correct. Okay. So that's the way that we use that. And we were going to have Steph go over shipping, but I don't think that we're actually going to have enough time, Steph. So I think we'll save that for another session of tips and pointers. Same
Perfect.
time, same channel. And in the meantime, I would like to just go over very quickly here. Let me close some of these tabs. This is the this is actually a new Tuxedo page. Tuxedo didn't used to have this page, but this is the new layout that they have for their website, and it's actually a lot nicer than the older version. So I
Oh,
just
can
kind
you
of
please
wanted to.
share the link?
Yes, yes. And in fact, guys, I also want to make a quick point of this. I have a list of all my distributors saved by name in alphabetical order. Yes, I'm anal, but you know what? It saves me a lot of time. So it's a good idea to maybe try to pick up the same habit because it really does help me out in a call. Tons of help. Okay. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that when you come into this page, and not only this page, and I want to make a strong point that if you go into any of the manufacturers page, you can usually find updated information. If not, you can also find manuals and sales sheets that you can send to the customer. So, with that being said, I'm going to click here on the two post list, and I'm going to show you how easy it is for you to come over here, and you're going to notice, where does it say it? Specifications. Here it is, manual. If you click here,
really bad.
if you there's specifications, there's the flyer. So if you want to send the customer a flyer, that's available. Then there's the manual, that's available, and all the accessories that come with this lift, that's also available. But I come here and I download this manual. Now I'll download it to my main computer, but what I actually recommend that you do is that you actually download it and save it into your files. So once this loads, once again, sorry guys, I know we take down some pages here. Maybe it'll work faster. There we are. So this is the Tuxedo 9KF Tux page, okay? And basically it's going to give you all the information that you need. Technical information as far as installation, delivery, etc., etc. If you come down over here, gets in the way. If you come down here and you download it, it's going to take you to these pages. And then, as again, I have a complete library of flyers and manuals and installations and all kinds of things that uh, that I've been saving since I started. I can put this on a memory, and you can download it into your computer because it's so much easier for me to keep this available and throw it into somebody's email than it is for me to have to always go to a page and download it and then have to send it over. So we'll work on that in the future once we start seeing each other again. But for now, don't be afraid to go into the manufacturer's main page and look for this information. All right. And then moving on, I'm going to go ahead and give you another pointer based on technical help with the manuals. Okay. Now, a lot of times somebody asks me, okay, I have a customer asking me for questions, technical questions or something. And to be completely honest with you, I don't know. It's difficult for me to really understand, but there are keywords that you can use to help find the information or at least offer the customer information. so that he can look. So if a customer says, "Hey, I need electrical information about the TP9 lift," so if I come to this page and I click Control F, if then I'm going to get this little bar up here, and if I just click on here a couple of times, it's going to take me to every part of the manual that says electrical, right? And then I can say, "Hey, customer, are you looking for the ampage, or you're looking for a wiring diagram? What are you looking for?" And I can send him the manual, and I can also tell him, "Hey, while you're at it, take a look at page 13." And then this way I was able to help the customer. Now, this is extremely useful because this will save you a lot of time from possibly calling the manufacturer, waiting for somebody to answer the phone, them actually doing exactly what I'm doing right now to find that information. So try to find keywords that the customer's looking for. Another one that happened to Roger the other day. Sorry to put you on the spot, Roger, but I just thought I'd share it for a moment, where customer was asking about torque. And to be completely honest with you, yeah, it's hard to know what that information is. You could have downloaded this, come up here and looked at this information and typed in torque, and within a matter of seconds, it would have came up as, "Oh, you need 130 feet-pounds of torque." You see what I mean? And
Yes.
in the other location. So, I mean, this works with all kinds of keywords, beams, but actually just beam. So overhead beam, and I'll be able to find information regarding on what kind of beam or cross rails. So very important to listen to what the customer is asking you. If you can find the customer's information while you're on a call, I can guarantee you're going to save yourself some time, and your customer's going to trust you because you were able to answer his call on the first try, even though you had absolutely no idea what he was asking you for. Okay? So that is one of the actual strongest pointers that I can give you in regards to that. So do you guys have any questions about that? Was that?
It's good. It's awesome. Good.
Okay. And just to kind of show you that it's not only with Tuxedo, it's also with Challenger. You can do the same exact thing with Challenger. Go into Challenger. Again, it's going to take you a long time, but they're basically the same steps. I have all the manufacturers. If you don't know which ones they are, say, "Hey, Ed, can you send me the link to Backyard Buddy, Bailey, Auto Twirler?" They all have, in one way or another, they all have a lot of information. Hey, check this one out. Sidewinder has a lot of useful information. Star Aligner, Zinco, all of them are going to be able to give you some updated information, so it's going to be very helpful for you to be able to do in the future. Okay? So
Perfect.
that pretty much covers what I wanted to go over. Again, Steph, I wasn't expecting to take this long. I apologize. Next training session will cover shipping conditions, Metco and Eagles, and we'll add something additional to it just to make sure that you guys are fully understanding and on the same page.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. Pretty good.
Guys,
Awesome.
anything else? Okay, everybody got all the information. Was it helpful? I hope, I really do hope that something was learned and something was shared throughout this process.
Oh, for
Of
sure.
course.
Yes.
Yeah, it
It
was good.
was.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great.
Roger's robotic.
Roger says bye. Robot.
Thank you guys. All right, I appreciate it. So
Thanks, man.
basically, we're all set. Of course, this information will be available for watching in the future in case you have any doubts. If you don't remember what the emails are, please, this tip is very important for me. Remember anything that has to do, I have everything from concrete specs. We have lead times, Challenger lead times, June 2020, you see? and then this way you can find that very easily. So I have a bunch of emails out there, very easily found. If you're on a call, just jump in there, see what you can find, and if not, let me know.
Do you ever
Oh,
tell
okay.
them about the About Us page on Tuxedo?
Did I ever tell them about what, Roger?
The
About us.
the About Us page on Tuxedo?
What's in there?
The
I
about
Because
us
I always
is a
have it
map.
open. It
You
always
need
help.
to.
It's a map that shows where the warehouses are at. That way, it shows you the closest
Oh,
one to where a client is. That way,
Right.
you don't have to be searching
oh, nice.
Google all the time.
okay.
Good, good
I
tip.
I usually have I have them so memorized in my head that it's
Oh,
I mean, like for like to finding, let's say, a customer is in this
Edit.
place and you don't know which one's the closest to him or something. I usually use that place. I mean, that page.
about us. Whereas they changed this, so
That'll
I'm
be
not really
great
sure.
because
I,
I'm
I,
always lost with that.
yes, I always use it too.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
There you are.
Which one?
I find it
Roger
really,
with
really
the
helpful.
save last minute. There you
Roger,
go, brother. That's what I'm
Okay,
talking about.
Roger,
This is what I
next
want to.
training is
spreading
for
the
you,
wisdom,
okay?
Yep,
Roger.
Roger's gonna have to do the next training for us. Yeah, of course, because my website is slow, but there it is. Guys, once this thing loads 5 minutes later, the map is going to be there and you're going to be able to know what the map is. Oh, boom, beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Oh,
In
I have
support.
a
The
print
only,
map next to me, and
I,
that's how I use. Remember, Ed? The
that's
one
right.
that I when
That's
I
right.
have
As a
it
matter of
right
fact, I
here.
stole yours. That's actually very true. I stole Nika's. The only thing about this one, I gotta warn you guys, is I'm not sure this Idaho one is open anymore. So this
Oh,
might be outdated. So be careful with that.
Oh, that's why it's. I don't remember who was asking about that. I was like, "Where? What's that
Hmm.
map? I don't know."
It
And
was me. It was me.
these can change. You know, as a matter of fact,
Oh,
we in some future we might even be on this map out here in New York. So hey, let's keep it. Let's see what happens. I know the Orlando one has changed 3 times in the last year. So who knows what can happen.
Yes.
okay.
Let's get
okay.
Bohemia, baby.
All right,
Good
guys.
to know.
So again, thank you so much,
Thanks, guys.
and
Thanks,
see you
Ed.
next one.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Bye.
Ed.
Hmm.
Thank
Bye
you,
now.
Bye.
Ed. Bye.
Yep.
Bye.